All right, in 9.3, we're going to look at the double angle and half angle formulas. These are going to come up in calculus too, so they're a good thing to know. Again, I'm not going to ask you to memorize them, but know what they are and be able to use them. So on these, first let's look at the half angle formulas. On these, cosine of x over 2 is this, sine of x over 2 is this, and tan x over 2 is this. And notice all of these have a plus or minus in the front of them. To figure out the plus or minus part, you have to figure out which quadrant the angle x over 2 is in, and then use the simple trig chart, the asimple trig chart, to figure out whether it should be positive or negative. So let's start out with this first one. This first example says find the exact values of cosine 135 over 2 and sine 135 degrees over 2. All right, so first up, let's figure out which quadrant this is in. 135 over 2 is, what is that, 67.5? Yeah, 67.5. And so that's in quadrant 1. So therefore, we know that we're over here, and so sine and cosine are both going to be positive. So cosine of 135 degrees over 2 is going to be, just from here, it's going to be plus square root of 1 plus cosine of 135 over 2. And so what is the cosine of 135 degrees? Well, 135 degrees is over here. Its reference angle is 45 degrees. And so it's so cosine of 135 is going to be root 2 over 2 for the number, and for the sign, for the whether it's positive or negative, we're in the second quadrant here. So cosine of 135 is going to be negative. So what do I get here? Now, let me say this. After you do this a bunch of times, you need to know where it comes from. But honestly, if I were doing this on a test in a timed environment or something, I would probably just pop that into my calculator, cosine 135. And when it says negative 0.7071, that tells me it's minus root 2 over 2. But anyway, so let's plug into here. So we've got positive 1, let's see, plus that, so 1 minus root 2 over 2 over 2. So let's see, what can we do to that to make it look nicer? I don't know that there is much we could do. I could write it as 1/2 minus root 2 over 4. Or I guess I could write it as, I can multiply this 1/2. I can multiply the top and bottom of that by 2, and that would give me 2 over 4 minus root 2 over 4. And then that would give me 2 minus root 2 over 4. Now this over 4, I can bring that out front as a 1/2 root 2 minus root 2. That's probably about as nice as we can get it. Now let's check that. This is, well, let's see. Actually, I do have my TI calculator handy. Make sure I'm in degree mode. All right, degree mode. I want to do two things here. I want to do cosine of 67.5, and that gives me this number, 0.38 blah blah blah. And now I'm going to do 1/2 times the square root of 2 minus root 2. And sure enough, when I do that, Both of these give me the same number, so checks out that it's correct. So we've got there the exact value of this. All right, we're still supposed to do the sine though. And let's see, to do the sine, notice the only difference there is for the sine, the only difference is we've got a minus here instead of a plus. So really the only thing that's going to change here is, well, let's go through and look at it. I think we can just change the sign here, but let's double check that. This plus becomes a minus. That makes this one a plus. Plus, 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 plus. Yeah, so we can jump here and say this is going to be 1/2 root 2 plus root 2. Now let's check that. Again, I'm going to put it on my calculator. Cosine or sine of 67.5. That gives me 0.9238. And if I do 1/2 of 2 square, 1/2 of square root of 2 plus square root of 2, that gives me the same number there. So it's nice to check it and see that this gives us the same approximation. But what we have there is the exact value for this sine. All right. I've got a few more examples, but I'm going to save those for the next video.